It's interesting because I rarely prepare text for the moments when I speak. And now that the topic is chilling, I've prepared a text. So it may not be necessarily very, very chill, but I'll be reading my text just not to forget the message that I wanted to convey. So here it goes. I have a 1-year-old son, and literally every day he does something that he was incapable of doing just the day before. And I don't know how he does it, or actually, I do. He's involved in a process called learning that is, in many extents, unknown to me, but that I know a little bit. Learning is about living life, is much broader than what I can teach, and different from schooling. I know that because I've always loved learning, but I've never really liked school, the place where I would mostly have to sit down, listen to someone talking, and prove my value on test after one test after the other. I managed to do well at school, all the way to getting a law degree. But the place where I studied learning was the basketball court, as a player and then as a coach. I found out how much potential there is when a child is intrinsically motivated, when success is not based simply on the achievement of a certain goal, when they experience fun and creativity through play, and when their relationships become a key part of performance. I always know that my sports experience meant more than sports. As a Montrealer originating from Haiti, who had the privilege to navigate through various neighborhoods of my city, I was struck by the social inequities of my city and realized the importance of education to address these issues. This is why I ended up founding a nonprofit organization that trains sports coaches so that they can act as mentors in the lives of young people. I've been involved with that organization for almost 15 years. With my team, I basically developed an innovative para-educational practice that contrasts with traditional methods of coaching. The experience was enriching, and I built on it to include facilitation in my work in various contexts. But the more I became interested in learning, the more frustrated I became about traditional school. It has become pretty clear to me that at school, instead of cultivating enthusiasm and a love of learning, children are launched on a path that prepares them not for life in all its forms, but first and foremost for the job market in order to achieve their own financial and material security. In this race, students mold themselves to the standards of being a good students, quote unquote, or to become then a good worker. Unfortunately, I have witnessed time after time situations where children, for multiple reasons, ranging from race to neurodivergence, don't fit normative squares. They end up being excluded from the system that is supposed to support them in the first place. Tragic consequences derive from that, unfortunately, even including death. Students who are so-called privileged are not in a great situation either. The most elitist schools appear to be exclusive circles of students from affluent social classes. Instead of cultivating a sense of community and interbeing, students are further nurtured by their individualism and competitive spirit. To a certain extent, schooling does impoverish learning. And what to do about it? How about launching a school? Because I have no formal academic background in education or a similar domain, I never felt legitimate to do something about this issue. I've always felt like my knowledge came from informal context experiences that get no institutional recognition. And then I reflected on the notion of studying put forward by various scholars, notably in Black studies, citing Fred Moten in the Undercommons. Is there a way of being intellectual that isn't social? When I think about the way we use the term study, I think we're committed to the idea that studies is what you do with other people. It's talking and walking around with other people, working, dancing, suffering, some irreducible convergence of all three, held under the name of speculative practice. The point of calling it study is to mark that the incessant and irreversible intellectuality of these activities is already present. Having that in mind, I do believe that I live in a system that precisely sends the message that informal knowledge is of no value, um, and that I'm certainly not legitimate to create a school. But if studying is not different from chilling, as we see in the Black tradition, that I know a little bit about. This is why I decided to launch the offline space, which is a temporary name for now, because the space is still in planning mode. We haven't achieved anything yet. So I'm sharing the next few words with a lot of caution and humility. So the space is a para-pedagogical and alter economic project that explores a simple idea, being together and studying in the most radical and alive way possible. The space seeks to reconnect with the original function of the school, a word which etymologically means leisure. We therefore encourage learning as a way of life, driven by and for enthusiasm, without normative evaluation and without the goal of obtaining accreditation, money, or prestige. The space welcomes both people with academic backgrounds and those marginalized by traditional schooling. The space is interested in philosophies, sensibilities, forces, and movements that escape the confines of modern thinking and resonate with life's potential. It limits itself to no discipline, method, or linear pathway, making room for knowledge that emerges in many different situations and off the beaten track. In both its activities and its governance, the space is characterized by an emergent structure that allows for improvisation, learning through creativity, participatory decision making, and relationality. The space understands Blackness not as an identity, but as a sociality that exceeds identities. And wishing to honor Black studies, the space holds that study can happen through multiple forms of being together, always in a spirit of mutuality. In this sense, the space does not create anything new, it tends to what already exists. It is not currently located in a single space, it exists through its activities and the traces they leave. It is considering opening a location in Montreal and also another one in a rural area. So if you'd like to study seriously by chilling, well, you know where to find me.